What are sort of the stages of designing and building these products? I think there's three very big stages, which one is sort of the concept, the vision, sort of the big picture. Then there's actually taking that big picture of what are you trying to do and for who and translating it into a product, which I usually characterize as the design process. Then once you have your handle around the design you're trying to make, then it's the build process. And what happens in a lot of organizations is I feel those three things are separated by like function and like sometimes even location. So there's like a business unit who's in charge of saying what we're going to make. Then there's the design team who is handed that and asked to create designs. And then the design team creates those designs and hands them to the engineering team to ask them to build that. And the more you get into a world where there's, rapid iterative change, where there's more variables than ever before, the more important the parts between those phases actually matter. So the part in between the vision and the design, or the part in between the design and development. And I think that's where there's new tools and processes, or at least people are sharing new techniques for that stuff that I find really interesting. For example, on the visioning piece, for the last two startups I've done, so we're on the second one now, in both cases I've started out by using Apple's Keynote software, which is this presentation software, to create just a really lightweight but highly visual and high fidelity example of the kind of product we're trying to build. Now ultimately it doesn't end up being exactly like that, but like the core fundamentals are in place and it feels like a real thing because you can click through it and jump around it, and that's how we all align to, okay, that's where we're going, and from there you can sort of set a roadmap. Then at that point we get into all the design, like what happens when they click this, how does this react, all the little details and everything that comes out. Then from the design phase to the development phase, one of the, I guess, pinnacle moments in my, how shall I say this, in my education as a pseudo developer was when I discovered logicless templates in the company that we did before this one. So I used a system called Mustache, which actually took all of the business logic out of all the front-end templates before they used to be embedded in the code. And what really made this process so awesome was that I could specify this sort of logicless content inside of my templates using local data. And then I could push it to the server, and my technical co-founder, who was sort of the engineering side of the arm, would fill all that in, but it was the same thing. So what I was using locally to test and design, he was using on the server to actually deploy the real data and fire stuff up. And that process really bridged the gap between design and development in ways that nothing had done for me before, because it used to be a lot more handoffy. And now I can literally pick up a file, he can pick up a file, we can do our own thing with it, and we're not stepping on each other's toes, which is really, really cool. So it's those sorts of things, the tools and processes in the gaps, that I think are becoming more and more useful, and also where the interesting sort of insights are happening as well.